Hi, welcome to Arthur's online autism presentation. I am Arthur Riley and I am on the autism spectrum. This is part 3 of 4, sharing many of my autism related obsessions. Today I will share 3 obsessions from my early adulthood, starting with Las Vegas. My first visit was at age 21 and loved it for many years. I was absolutely obsessed with the lights at night, the signs and the buildings. I just enjoyed all these beautiful lights. Did not stop thinking about them. There are 2 signs that stick in my mind even today. First one is the dunes, which is the current location of the Bellagio right on the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. It had a tall sign. If I remember correctly, it was about 180 feet tall, roughly around there. At night, the light would go up and down constantly. I still remember my eyes going like this, just kind of following the sign, kind of slightly, tried not to be noticeable. The second one was my all time favorite, the Stardust. Further north of the strip, it is the current location of Resorts World. And not only was I obsessed with all the beautiful lights at night, but all the great food deals. For example, many of the buffets on the strip and downtown were under $5, plus many hotels, late hours, night, or early in the morning had 99-cent breakfast, $1 breakfast. One particular place downtown, late at night, had a $2 steak dinner. Yes, you heard correctly. $2. Included salad and roll. Oh, it's one of the best steaks I ever had. And the hours were approximately 11 at night to 7 in the morning. The same hotel had a breakfast called the Natural. You had a choice of either ham or bacon with eggs, potatoes, and toast. So I chose the ham. First time I ordered it, I figured I'd only get a small piece of meat since it was only $2, which, by the way, included coffee. To my surprise, I was finally served my breakfast. My eyes literally got this big when I saw this big slice of ham covering the plate. I swear it's about this big, not exaggerating, with a bone in the middle. Back then, I was able to eat anything I wanted without gaining an ounce. You could bet I ate every bite, and I enjoyed every bite too. Amazing meal. And the hotel rooms were a lot more reasonable back then. This is going back to the mid 80s to early 90s. For example, one time we stayed downtown a week and a half, $18 a night. It was inside a casino. It was not fancy, but that didn't matter because the location was perfect. And on the strip, I remember staying at a motel for 135 to 140 a week. Amazing. Nothing fancy, but once again, it did not matter because I could not have asked for a better location. Right in the heart of the Las Vegas Strip, close distance, within minutes walking to several hotels. But to put icing on the cake, it was across the street from the Stardust Hotel, the place that had my favorite sign lit up at night. If I remember correctly, it was about 180 feet tall. And at one time in the early 80s, it was the tallest freestanding sign in the world. Once again, I could not stop obsessing about the lights, great food deals along with the hotel bargains. But one thing I had to be mindful of, I was 23 at the time, second or third visit, I don't remember. Being on the autism spectrum, I had to be mindful of the fact that if I enjoyed the signs or looked at them and the other lights in a certain way, it could draw unwanted attention. Both Mama and I worked so hard to correct. So, in other words, I felt there was absolutely nothing wrong with enjoying the beautiful lights. But once again, being on the autism spectrum, I had to be careful on how I looked at the lights and enjoyed them to avoid drawing unwanted attention. Now, moving on to Mexico. A trip to Puerto Vallarta is around that same time frame or later that same year, approximately. I loved all the food down in Puerto Vallarta, especially the chicken enchiladas. Plus, I enjoyed all the lovely drinks they had back then. I love the music. In fact, mariachi music would never, ever, ever get old to me. I love it. However, in Mexico, I developed a love for marimba music. In case you do not know what a marimba is, it is shaped just like a xylophone. However, much bigger. A lot of them are the size of a piano. It normally takes two people to play it, sometimes one, usually two or more. Despite the fact that I was obsessed with marimba music during my trip to Puerto Vallarta, my love for that music started several years earlier. I'd say I was 16. Mom and I took a week's vacation in Mazatlan. I'll never forget our first night. We were out for dinner. And halfway through our meal, I'll never forget two gentlemen walking toward something covered in tarp. I was curious to know what it was. Sure enough, they pulled it off, and it was a marimba. At the time, I thought it was a big xylophone. About a few minutes later, they took their sticks out and started playing. I thought, wow, this sounds awesome. I loved it. However, after our trip, I didn't give it much thought for many years until we went back to Puerto Vallarta. I'll never forget first night there. Our hotel, I remember one next to us had an outdoor pool with a band playing at night. And sure enough, one of the guys was playing the marimba. I thought, oh, this is awesome. You can bet I was there every night listening to that music. As much as I loved it, once again, being on the autism spectrum, I had to be mindful of the fact that if I sat too close to the musicians, staring at them, knowing that I had an intense stare related to autism, there was been a very good possibility it would have made them very uncomfortable and maybe even suspicious. So I made it a point to sit at least 50 or 100 feet back to the point where I could enjoy my music to my heart's content and not make the musicians feel uncomfortable, preferably around other people. So once again, I felt there's nothing wrong with me enjoying their music as much as I did. However, I had to be very careful to again be on the spectrum to avoid getting too close and staring to the point which could possibly make them feel uncomfortable. So, last but not least, Dodger Stadium. And before I go into the ballpark itself, I mentioned in a previous presentation, I've been a Dodger fan since I was 10 years old, which was 1974. And I have this amazing gift to memorize all their win and loss records dating back from 1974 to present each season. For example, if someone asked me their win and loss record 1983, I would be able to answer and I would not miss. Amazing. Even to me, it is. Going back to the ballpark, I remembered how much I enjoyed first visits to Dodger Stadium. I was so enamored with the decor, the palm trees. Driving in from the parking lot and seeing the stadium blue colored, most of it, including the outfield fences. Plus, I remembered going inside the ballpark, watching the game, looking out toward the outfield, which was open. I noticed not only palm trees, but other kinds of trees with mountains in the background. In many ways, the ballpark reminded me of both Southern California and Hawaii. Anyone listening is entitled to disagree with me. However, that's how I saw it. This is just my perspective. And I love the organ music in the background. It really added charm to the sporting event. In fact, after my first few visits, or several, I could not stop obsessing with the ballpark, with the trees, the background, and the great organ music. In fact, after my first or second visit to Dodger Stadium with the palm trees, it had me obsessed to a certain point. When I saw palm trees anywhere else, anywhere, first thought was Dodger Stadium. This obsession lasted approximately maybe 3 months at the most. Still to this day, a very memorable one. Many fans who visit Dodger Stadium or season ticket holders, and once again, I bet they would agree with me if I said no visit to Dodger Stadium is complete without a Dodger dog. I especially like the ones that are grilled with black grill marks on them, accompanied with spicy mustard and relish. Sometimes onion, but the hot dogs definitely has to have the mustard and the relish. No questions asked. And interestingly enough, I did some research about a year or two ago on the top 10 world's largest ballparks for baseball. And surprisingly, I found that Dodger Stadium is the world's largest stadium for baseball. And to be honest with you, I was shocked when I read that. Because many years ago, when I followed baseball, there were several stadiums that were bigger. Before I go any further, Dodger Stadium has a seating capacity of 56,000. So when I followed baseball many years ago, a lot of stadiums had capacity of 60,000. The ones for baseball, they're long gone. If anyone's interested in looking up world's largest ballparks, you'll be surprised to find that Dodger Stadium, once again, is listed the world's largest stadium for baseball, right in the heart of Los Angeles. And then review what I discussed. Las Vegas, first visit at age 21, I was obsessed or enamored with all the lights, plus loved all the food and hotel bargains. And how much I enjoyed the dunes and the Stardust signs from many years ago. Plus, I had to be mindful of the fact of being careful on how I loved or enjoyed the signs, being on the spectrum to avoid unwanted attention. Then Dodger Stadium, how much I enjoyed the decor with the blue painted around the stadium, the palm trees, and along with the other trees. So I want to thank you for taking the time to view my presentation. My next presentation will be fourth and final, sharing my autism-related obsessions. So I will see you then. Have a great day.